quality of teams. For Finest, in my honest opinion, I think with recent a three game loss streak as well. Copenhagen Flames, they took a map off, fair enough, but losing to 9Z in a best of one and Arve in a BO3, as well as that losing to Galaxy Racer in a best of one not too long ago. It's, to me, man, I really want to see more from them. Nonetheless, we kick things off into the pistol. PHR going aggressive and, well, gets glocked down. It's a great hold from Finest, not before Goofy finds two.
Yeah, I did, as you said, rather, like the setup that they had. Unfortunately, it's just been absolutely torn apart by Goofy afterwards. Even picked himself up those dualies to get them final man on the bomb site, and does get spammed down just a small bit as he backs off into his position for the after plan. But they've got the numbers, they've got a flash here still to work with, and it's going to be all of the pressure on Robin and Mar to move forward. And without Kevlar as well, that's definitely worth noting when you've got those Glocks and also the dual Berettas in play. They can chip away at the bodies just a little bit more. Robin does have a kit to work with. Already putting the smoke down. He's looking to just try and stick it. There's no peek coming in. He gets wrapped on by Goofy, who just about makes it out. And he actually finds himself the ace in the end. So what a round by Goofy. He's going to be the one to lead Wisla over the finish line there in that opening pistol round. And to give Wisla their first win of the season in terms of rounds, at least. Oh, we've got an instant pause.
I mean, what a way to start things, right? Is that you come into Premier this season for Wisla with the opportunity, of course, of making conference, and Goofy rocks up and he finds 5 kills. Easy as you like. And of course, we have a little watch of the replay here. I mean, I thought just for a second there that maybe Finest were going to hold on to this hole, but no, Goofy, 3 kills. That was the dual Beretta pickup, kills the diffuser, switches out, and he finds the last as well. An ace to kick things off. But as you mentioned, Dean, it's not a game of online CS without a bit of a tech pause.
Yeah, and I don't think Team Finest will complain. They'll have a moment to have a discussion about how Goofy smacked them about a little bit in that round. They'll be able to brush it off, though, and we'll see whether they come in with a force buy or if they're going to just look to see if they can get out an early gun round there now. Obviously, you're always going to be making some concessions if you go for that third round buy. You won't really have too many nades behind it. You won't get the up onto an Arcaz either, unless he somehow manages to get himself a few kills in this round. And even then, it would probably be just glass cannon at most. So I would imagine the force buy probably comes in. But they're taking their time to make their decisions anyway, because they're not in too much of a rush right now. Not sure what the issue is. I think the pre-game issues were a couple of internet problems, so hopefully that's not going to be something that'll be keeping up. Obviously, though, if there is troubles with the internet, we may as well just pause it. You don't want any teams playing on uneven footing. What's on the line, especially.
Always hurts, doesn't it?
Beautiful waterfall.
Wow. Yeah.
Those source textures, they hold up.
Just about, man, just about. No. To be fair, Ancient is a very pretty map. Like, when obviously they dropped the map, it was like, we're used to the very, like, techno, like your nuke, maybe, that things are very white and very grey and very sort of, like, monochrome textures and colours.
Trying to make everything like Season for a while, they were.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're on Ancient, where everything's, like, nice and vibrant. Like, I'm not sure if you play Ancient a lot, and I'm not sure if you play with Digital Vibrance, but this map on Digital Vibrance is, like, a whole different ball game. It's like, everything's so bright. It's like Cash, you know, where everything's so bright.
I used to max it out, but I don't know, I have pretty bad eyes, so I've somewhat toned it down, but I've got it on like 75 in the settings, and then it's up pretty high on my bank monitor as well, so it's still pretty vibrant. Those candles are looking quite orange, I won't lie.
Yeah. Absolutely
yeah,
blazing.
we're rambling now because we've got this pause.
Oh yeah, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. We always love it. We turn podcast mode here, Dean, with these tech pauses. All right, Dean, I'm gonna open up the floor a little bit. Maybe Twitch chat can join in as well, right? A wild question. Who do you think's winning this season?
Who do I think is winning this season? Oh,
who do you think
let me get the groups so I have them here.
Yeah. Who do you think, like, favourite to win? Like, who have you got? If you were a gambling man, sort of like, where would you put your money? Like, you know, it's actually very hard to guess this season. There's so many good groups, good teams.
There's a few names you have to mention. I don't think there's ones that, obviously you've got to kind of look at the two teams that came back down from Pro League. I'd say Sinners and then Entropic are going to be two of the favourites no matter what. AGO having picked up the win there in the previous season, looking incredible during the actual group stages, and then obviously managing to win out in playoffs as well. So I think they're another team that are going to be in contention. Double Pony, if they can find their consistency. They had an amazing start to the previous season before they slowed down a little bit and then obviously dropped off going into the playoffs. So I think they're another team that if they show up in form can be a big threat. Anonymous, who came second in the previous season, and we haven't even touched on Group B yet. So It's an incredibly difficult decision to make. I think even some of the newer teams, such as Eternal Fire, who are obviously only joining us this season, are a potential wild card as well, who could catch a couple teams off guard. It's always a possibility when you've got names like Xanthars, Woxic, and Calyx together. You've got Emor behind them. Xflout, I haven't actually seen much of him yet, but he seems to be pretty impressive as well, and I believe he's pretty young, right? Yeah, only 18 as well,
Yeah.
so he's a new up-and-comer in the Turkish scene that they're going to be sharing their ton of experience with, because obviously those guys have all been around for an incredibly long time. So they're a team that I think could adapt pretty quickly to Premier. But yeah, I mean, in terms of my favorites, I'll give you, as I said, Sinners and Tropic, Agio. I'm going to say one from Group B. I was looking towards the Bison Sprout, because I feel like they should be finding some of their consistency now, but I don't know. Every season that I believed in them the last couple of seasons, and they've just really struggled to find their footing.
Fair enough, man. Well, we've survived the ramble long enough here, Dean, to be jumping back into the action. Our second round here of Ancient is going to be going underway. Finest, just Deagles, man. Deagles armor, utility, whatever they can get their hands on for Wisla, of course. They've gone for the rifle approach. Shots starting to tap up towards middle. Nothing too substantial happening right now here, Dean. It's just the tag damage. We're more than used to it at this point in time. People just having their fun. Maybe the T side looking for the early control.
Yeah, I mean, running down a few of those nades as well, just from the CT side. They already have Sparrow up close here on the sniper's nest as well, so a very forward position with still well over a minute, so they're not really in much of a rush at the moment. There is that B stack in place, so they're ideally just trying to feel out where exactly all of the members are at on that CT side. And well, with a player going forward in towards the spawn, potentially, if he catches this initial kill onto an Arcas, I was going to say maybe the A-Rap could be on the cards, but we're actually seeing Wisla all move back in the direction of B right now. And if they catch that Lurker quickly in towards Sniper Nest, steal the weapon away, and manage to rotate those two players quickly onto B to help out, then this is going to get really, really scary for Wisla. And you can see even just the timing on that smoke is pretty fantastic now with only 40 seconds remaining.
Finest have done very well to hold on to that control. They've given up a lot of it, but they've still got the integral part of the B site. As I say that, though, Goofy, his 6th kill in 2 rounds as he's going to drop the smoke, maybe looking for the entry instead. I think it gives them limited vision. Jacob, he's taking a little bit of damage. Goofy now sub 50 as the Deagles continue to try and puncture holes through those smokes. They won't quite connect before the bombs set down, and of course a 5-on-4 to ensue. Team Finest, they understand the armor, the Deagles, the utility, everything. Too much on the line, so they're just going to transition away to save these Deagles. Quite a smart move, I think. Got to be disciplined to make this one and realize maybe your resources are better used elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can try pretty much the exact same thing in the next round. You just won't have shocks on the buy. It won't make too much of a difference. You can go for a little bit of a stack again. Hopefully it plays out in a bit of a different fashion. But with the health they're all on, it's kind of a no-brainer to not just needlessly throw away the armor, especially alongside those Deagles. Sparrow, though, he'll look to try and steal it away. He's got a Mach 10, so even 1 or 2 kills here would be quite helpful for him to just build up a little bit of extra money. But it doesn't look like he wants to risk his life at all. Happy enough to just hang on, keep himself in play for now, and he knows they'll have a chance again to potentially take on those pistol players coming into this round, so he doesn't really want to risk giving away any money. And he was happy enough to let them, of course, have a go at, once again, as you mentioned, pretty much the exact same thing here. And Shocks even gets a bit of investment actually behind it. Does he just go towards the smoke? And I think he got dropped the P250 as well. It does look like he has one. Indeed he does.
So into the 3rd round. Ooh, that Deagle of Mar was tested quite big there. Goofy going to pick up one with a HE to kick this round off. In the meantime, Kriaz's Deagle looking to create space towards caves. It's interesting to see that Finest, even though they are disadvantageous in weapons, they're not scared of taking a fight here, Dean. They're going for it, doing whatever they can.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what you need to do in these situations. You need to be taking at least a couple of risks. If you just play it in the regular kind of way you would with those rifles, you're in with less of a chance than you normally would have if you're just going to play with the Deagle. You need to try and switch things up a little bit, and that's what you see. That's why sometimes you even see teams manage to win out some of these rounds and really struggle to get the gun rounds going, just because you're that little bit more carefree. But a good opening. I want to note, though, interestingly enough, Goofy, although he only got 1 kill in that previous round, he did single-handedly win it for them, just like he did in the pistol round with the ace, because it was the only kill that had come in. It looks like right now with another entry as well, he might be the one to go ahead and just confirm control of the A-bomb site, but no, fantastic shot by Robin. I don't know if that AK is going to be all that retrievable right now. He might have a go of actually snatching it while they're getting the bomb down, but for now it's just going to stick onto the Mach 10, low health onto PHR as well. See whether he manages to catch him off guard. There is a bit of a shot maybe here for them to get this one done, but if they wanted to be winning it, then they really need to get a move on, and it comes down to Shox actually dealing with this player in Donut right now. If he can't get past this, then there's no reason to go for the retake. They may as well just save what they've got.
Bomb ticking. 2 kills, it's decent. You know, when you come into this round sort of saving the force buy here, Dean, I think you're not expecting to win rounds, but you're definitely expecting to do the damage, and well, that it continues. Robin collecting his 3rd kill in the round. Wisla down to 2, but I don't think they're going to live to do any more damage here as the bomb shall detonate. It is 3-0. It is, of course, Wisla in front. However, Finest now have a real good chance of responding, right? You've got the full buy, and Arquez has already dipped his toes into that AWP investment. Everyone else has M4s. Like, they're ready and raring to go here. There's no questions asked.
Yeah, good nades behind it as well, so there really is everything they could ask for, and that's all you really want now. As you mentioned, they kept the pressure on while the money's still there for a few of the players to buy. If they can win this, it will still leave Wisla in a bit of an awkward spot. Forcing back in, having a couple of players maybe slightly lacking that nade could do some serious damage. It actually, I believe, landed at the feet of Goofy. Doesn't do too much, but the second one over as well, also adding on to the damage of Yedker. So, in general, just good early damage coming through. But Finest themselves, actually, I didn't realize Robin and Mard being taken down pretty low. So they do need to be somewhat cautious here with the aggression. You can see Kree is still pushed up in towards the lamps. He has players coming in on both sides of him right now, so he needs to be incredibly cautious as the smoke fades. Deciding to actually stick around, feeling like they need some early advantages to hang on to, and now he's going to be stuck on the right side. This is unfortunate. The molly down stops his teammate from getting at least a strong angle to help him out. You can see for now being held back, but Kree is still manages to take out 2 before going down, and they don't expect Shox for the late follow-up. He, of course, was held back so long by the molly that they figured there was just no one there to help him out. They thought Kreese must have been alone, but it was deceptive, and now it's all on PHR. He's got 50 seconds, sure, but he doesn't currently have the bomb on his back, and while it is in a position where the CTs don't know about it, by the time he gets it, he's really got not got too many options, rather. He'll probably have to bring it towards B, because if he wants to run it over towards A, he would be heard almost immediately by the Lamps player.
Maybe he can just about get his fingertips to the bomb, but of course it matters next what he decides to do. If he can get a bomb plant, that would be huge money for Wisla, but I don't think it's going to happen all too much here. Molly being dropped in deep towards caves, 20 seconds to go, and just how PHR sort of standing here. I don't think he's going to be giving it much of a welly here, Dean. They're just going to move to save. Wisla picking up, well, what could have been a serious round, but I mean, Finest, individually, it Shox and Kriaz to make the space, and in turn, it's the European side to take their first. Wisla, I think just about they're going to be able to put together a buy, though, heading into round 5. So not all hope is lost. I think we'll just have to see.
Yeah, no, I was saying, I think it was Marcos and PHR who were a little bit low on economy, so having that weapon will leave him in a decent position. We've got to see everyone kind of step it up a little bit soon. You know Goofy has 7 kills, and then you've got 1 for PHR, Sparrow, and Marcos, and Yedker's kind of chilling as well on 0. So there's still plenty of time, of course, for those players to get themselves into the game. Goofy gave them the first 3 rounds almost for free. But early on and towards round number 5 now, it's a bit of a struggle. Sparrow bounces in. The follow-up wasn't quite ready from Goofy there, I believe, as the nade came over, and as he just took a ton of damage, it almost would have felt like just throwing his life away if he did try and follow up for the trade frag. So they were kind of just forced into conceding it. So a strong start despite that damage that, of course, Kreese has taken. They can sit with the man advantage. They can leave the pressure on towards Wisla as they kind of just kind of stew in it for the moment, as you can see, needing to be the ones who make a little bit of a play here. And Team Finest, they're playing in a pretty passive fashion across the map, apart from in towards Lamps, where you have Shox on that AK ready for some close-up headshots.
Question is, can he get it done? Of course, the man advantage in their favour. Oh, flash, Goofy. You have to be careful for those ones, my friend, as he jiggles on in. Shox the pre-fire. Easy for the first. Problem is, of course, Jedka holding the angle. They're going to need to use a bit of counter utility maybe to get unstuck, to move out of harm's way. That they have. Slowly transitioning out of Candle. As I say that though, Dean, it seems to be they leave to return, because they all come right back for business. Marcos leading the charge, as the rest of Wisla may be sticking behind. 3-on-5 powered numbers. Wisla Krakow, they have to make their move.
Yeah, Yeah, 18 seconds, the op already with an opening kill, a triangle of doom on the bomb site really here between all of those angles, and yeah, there's just nothing really to be done. Yedgar eventually gets the one on the flanker, but that's all he's going to be able to find. Kreese is ready to get that final kill, and well, Yedgar wanted to go down anyway at that point. I don't think he was too certain that there wasn't another flanker coming in. Didn't want to die after time either, so he just kind of ran into the bomb site knowing he'd likely get taken out. And at least he's on par with the rest of his teammates now in terms of the economy. But, well, it's not really a good position to be in for any of them anyways. It's going to be mostly default pistols. No, there's actually an upgrade on towards 3 of the players. You have a P250 on Yedgar and then a couple of Deagles. Didn't even expect quite this much investment, to be honest, but they do have, I believe, 2,400 coming in this next round. Ideally, though, they'll be looking for a bomb plant. That would be very helpful.
More than ideal, wouldn't it? Just offset that balance that little bit more, give you a bit of leverage heading into the next full buy. Kriaz, that pressure amounts to the first frag. Dropping the HE as well, just moving away, making sure that maybe the flank can't happen, or if it does, at least the opposition opened up for the one-shot headshot potential. PHR gonna just watch a smoke plume from Finest in towards caves, and just look at the stance, the aggression that they take here, right? Finest really aren't turning away from any of these engagements. Where there's a clear area, they're gonna continue to abuse it. They don't just use it for the information, and now Wisla Krakow with the AWP of an Arquez rattling through. They are down to 2. The M4 of Kriaz leaving one man all by himself from Wisla. It's Sparrow. It's a 1-on-5. It's a P250. And his odds are looking pretty slim to win this one here, Dean.
Yeah, as you were kind of saying, they don't rest on their laurels. I like that. They get themselves into really strong positions for info, and if they wanted to kind of just slow it down and have advanced spots to make sure if the pushes and such come back that they'll have early warnings, which is maybe how I'd play it, being a little bit more of a safer player, I suppose, since I don't have the individual skill to back it up. But they're just constantly putting the pressure on from these positions instead, and it is good to see. Really nice on Ancient, a map that you don't see it quite as often. But yeah, we're going to see Wisla going back to that trusty mid control. This is what worked out for them well in the first couple of rounds, but in the first gun round, we've seen the nades just caused a ton of damage as they made their way out. And once again, we've seen a pretty similar scenario here with Sparrow and Goofy already being tagged down quite heavily. So we'll see how this works out now. And Arquez, though, going to be actually aggressing in true donut. The smoke fades away. Yedgar's just waiting in it. That's an easy shot for an Arquez. Follow-up just kind of makes the second player be somewhat weary of the angle, and with that it will give a bit of room for an Arquez to fall back away, and it baits it into the second op of Robin. That's a very nice 1-2 combo that they had set up.
Wouldn't expect the double AWP set up there either, right? You may be the M4 in on close long, but the fact that Robin's just waiting in cave so patiently, I think that's completely offset the Wisla side. They wanted to go aggressive in donut, couldn't because of the AWP. They tried to take aggression to long, they can't because Robin's there. And then all of a sudden, you're just left on maybe the lurk, maybe the mid play, and even then, that all gets taken down, and Finest flawlessly take their 4th. The double AWP set up so early on, but so effective, it seems.
Yeah, in that round, catching them completely off guard over on the A-bomb site, at least with both of them being there, as you mentioned. We'll see whether they continue to rock both of them around the same bomb site, or if they're going to try and be a little bit more versatile with it. Considering how much aggression we normally see, I'd imagine that it will be swapping up, and you can see already that is the case with one of them currently over towards that B-bomb site. Kree is actually going to be pushing out through the lamp smoke. Wants to try and peek in towards middle, where currently there's not a whole lot going on. Instead, it is most of the players here on Wisla grouping towards B. Obviously being on a bit of a limited buy, which is what makes this somewhat scary for me. Definitely doesn't want to be losing that AK and giving it away, but a nice shot by an Arquez. Spots the head of Goofy just about. Kreese is actually going to get flashed forward. They don't expect him to be on the further back angle. Catching Sparrow completely off guard. And well, for now, just keeping them in place, wasting a bit of time. That's basically what's going on. Marcos is hoping one of them overextends. And well, we might see that happen as a second player comes in to back them up. And well, now it gets dangerous. 2 AKs that can be recovered. And there's still about a minute as well, Retro, to work with. But they've got to get past Mar if they want to go towards mid. So they're kind of locked in unless they're willing to go all the way back through spawn.
It's going to be difficult, isn't it? Fast flank as well for the Rifle of Mar. Leaves little to no option for Wisla to just get out towards the B site. Go for the Hail Mary, and that they have. What a shot and a follow-up from PHR. 2 Deegs, and well, just down to 1. It's Mar in a 1 versus 3. He's already claimed a low HP soul, of course, of PHR. Whether they can find more, though, that's the different question. This would be a huge blow financially for Finest. Mar desperately looking to keep them afloat as he continues to tap away to purify the angles. In the meantime, I do believe it's Jedka tucks into the corner, does the damage, and he converts. Wisla up to 4, and well, the heroic efforts from PHR's Deagle give them opportunity.
Damn, that was crazy. I kind of thought they were screwed, as I mentioned, with Mar being ready for the quick flank. It was pretty much known that they had to move in towards B at that point, or if they weren't moving in towards B, it would be quite a while, at least before they'd reach that A bomb site. So they were really set up to just have an easy hold, in my opinion. A missed op shot, though, an initial just fantastic entry from PHR. I'm not going to take away from that. But then the missed op shot to not find the trade and to just be overwhelmed immediately on the bomb site, of course, leaving it all onto Mar in a near impossible position. But an Arquez, nice little gap there alongside the boost, able to actually catch them moving towards Lamp. So that's a little bit of a change up. We're seeing lots of things being thrown at Wisla at the moment by Finest, and it wasn't quite what we were expecting, considering this map is not the best for them statistically. But as I said, they were prepared coming into this matchup, and Shocks, he really makes the best of a worse situation right there, managing to find 2 while in the Molotov, and it was incredibly necessary as well, as they only come out with the 3-on-2 as the bomb goes down.
Wow. What an entry, what an opener. The chance still there, though, for Finest to bounce back as the numbers game in favor of the Europeans. Not before PHR will offset a triple for him. Marcos up close. AWP, can that find any success? You're looking at Kriaz maybe towards the cave, because shot towards wrong position hasn't quite connected. Marcos finds the first, spots the second, leg shot lands, it's through the wall, it's Robin 1-on-2. The sidearm pulled out, but it does not matter. A full house between the 2 remaining poles gives Wisla Krakow the lead here on the T side of Ancient Dean. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a chance for Finest maybe to bounce back, but when you've already got 5 rounds on the T side and 9 rounds of CS, I'm quite concerned here for Wisla, or rather for Finest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned because they've given away so much early on, but it's partly because of obviously the initial 3 rounds going the way of Wisla off the back of the pistol. But it just means they have a very solid foundation, and they can very quickly spiral this out of control for Team Finest, who, to me, otherwise have looked like they've had very good plans coming into these rounds and have had a very versatile approach and an enjoyable style to watch. So it is obviously not completely reflective of how things are going for them, but they definitely are in danger. It looks like a bit of a change up in terms of what the focus is for Wisla. A slower play contacting over towards this A-bomb site. Nicely timed flash though from Robin as he falls back in towards, I thought, the temple, but no, he actually stays around, jump peeking to get the info, and he gets caught off guard by PHR, who was already incredibly far forward. And as Marco shuts down the rotate of Mar through spawn, I think this may have to be one that Team Finest concede. Although Sparrow on the lurker could be a bit of a nuisance.
Well, bomb ticking. And if I'm honest with you, I think Finest, their decision is smart here to save. You don't want to overcommit your resources into a round that is lost. Sparrow trying to do some serious damage. Yeah, I mean, he's done the majority of it. Shocks down to 19 points of health, but of course it isn't 0. He stays alive to this 4-on-3, but Finest times are dire. The money's not too great. I mean, maybe in the next round, because you've got 3 players to save here, do you have a chance to invest? It's close, but I don't think they will. I think maybe the half-buy approach taken. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm subtracting from the fact that the polls here, Wisla Krakow, they're up to 6 here on the T side of Ancient. This was Finest's opportunity maybe to get themselves on the board, because of course, yes, their map pick is Inferno, but we really wanted to see something decent on the CT side of Ancient to at least give them momentum and maybe a bit of a chance heading on to the second map, but I don't see it so far.
Yeah, these last couple of gun rounds have definitely been a struggle now. I thought the initial few looked really strong, as I was saying, but it doesn't really matter the approach at the moment. They're just getting torn apart by the rifles and such of Wisla. Got a couple players starting to step up. PHR is finding form. Oh, we've seen a switch up with the A main aggression from Robin, lines them up, finding himself the very quick double. Can he escape is a pretty important question right now, and it doesn't look like it's much of an option. Instead, he decides to see if he can hold and take another one with him, and he falls. It was actually a crazy play through the molly from Yedgar. Did concede quite a bit of his health off the back of it, but good trades in general now from Wisla, and they don't decide to pounce off the back of the 2 entries onto A. They know rotations will be getting pulled over already, and they've actually had Sparrow just walk up the ramp into B, so the bomb site itself has been confirmed as clear. The only problem is you've got 2 very awkward players right now in Kreese and Shocks, who can potentially cut off the rotation of this bomb and put a nail in the round before there's any real hope here for Wisla.
Well, Diaz waiting. Large responsibility, and well, he's done all right. Shock's able to find one more, and Finest, their chance may be blossoming in the latter part of round 11. In a 1-on-2 find Sparrow, some serious damage. Shocks, he's able to take another soul. It's Finest up to 5. They're closing the gap. Admittedly, it's good. But, I mean, my concern's still very, very apparent here, Dean. And that is, of course, that Wisla have 6 rounds.
Yeah, they've already got themselves a decent position here on the T side. And to be honest, I don't think they're going to really stop at 6. They'll likely be able to add a little bit more to it, judging by the performance we're getting so far. So it's definitely a tough position for Finest. They'd like to try and close this one out in a clean fashion with the next 4 rounds. But Marco says no. Mar just tries to swing in on mid. That was their smoke, right? So a little bit of a missed smoke actually cost them, unfortunately, early on in this round. We are seeing heavy focus on the aggression up here over towards B. A couple players pushed in through mid initially. They're actually just going to send both back through lamp now. I think being a little bit afraid that it might be a direct B hit. And they could be right, but I think it's going to be a little bit more delayed.
Still a 5-on-4. Still the responsibility of Finest not only to get the advantage, but more importantly, just level out the numbers. And I mean, 2 players that have been playing astoundingly well for them so far is Shox and Kriaz, both of which now have rotated. The cavalry, the quad stack towards B here, Dean. If Whistler go in for this, all the resources of Finest are also going to be expended here out towards this hold. They've got to be careful.
Oh, nice spray from Kriaz. Actually doesn't manage to find the second kill, unfortunately. That would have been a massive find if he could have just to equalize the numbers. But he does do decent damage to at least make it doable. Are they bringing the bomb back? They've definitely got the rotation in behind right now. It looks like the commitment is definitely going to come towards B, though, and I believe PHR was spotted. No, he wasn't, apparently. Robin needs to be very, very cautious, and Wisla, on the other hand, really need to get a move on because they do not have a ton of time. Initial entry at least found onto Anarcha is in towards the cave, but you did see the trade back on the bomb site itself, so they just run it around to A now, and I don't think Robin's going to be in position quite in time, and even if he is, he's got so little health to try and make this happen. Might have a chance against Goofy, who's on very similar HP, but he doesn't manage to get the shot off. Unfortunately, was focused on trying to deny that bomb plant to see if the round could be won then and there. Instead, now it's all onto Shox. You said he's been playing well so far. He is up there alongside Kreese, but I think a 1-on-3 may be a bit too much to ask of him unless Wisla start playing this a little bit carelessly.
Bomb ticking away. Man, it's gone. It's done. Finest, no chance in this one. Shox moving to save as the remaining 3 players from Wisla make it 7-5 on the scoreline. Now, Dean, again, don't get me wrong. We know this isn't Wisla's pick. You know, their opportunity, or for Finest pick, their opportunity is Inferno. But, I mean, we really wanted to see momentum. That was the key point for me. Just something that I can look at and go, do you know what? Yeah, they do have a chance. I mean, we still have the T side of Ancient maybe to discuss that point. But right now, in my honest opinion, I am so not comfortable with how lackluster the CT side of Finest has been. We've seen some individual excellence from Kriaz and Shox, but as a team environment, I mean, maybe just 2 out of their depth here or something. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as the 13th round arises. It is just sort of a half buy for Finest. The Hero AK saved from the previous, and then a couple of pistols to try and accompany them, maybe to hobble along and do some damage. And Jedcut saying absolutely no to Kriaz.
I don't think it's helping them that Anarchez isn't able to get the op out as much as he'd want either, to be fair, considering he is one of the highest rated players. So that's definitely hurting them. And I mean, when you're on the CT side, having a few players having an off game also, it definitely can lead to struggles. I think you could have the likes of Shox and Kreese kind of lead the way a little bit more freely on that T side. The way in the first few rounds we kind of seen just Goofy and PHR do pretty much all of the work, with Goofy going like 7-1, and then PHR stepping up and going up to 8 kills before he got himself really back onto the board again, as the other players were getting their little bits. But overall, it was very similar, where 2 players, I suppose, were leading the way in frags. This round, though, there wasn't a lot to be done for Finest. They've got an AK that Shox is happy enough to just save over again and have in this next round instead. They'll have a very strong investment, and I think they might even come back towards that double op setup that worked out really well for them earlier on, because it's getting on now, rather, in the half. There's only a couple of rounds remaining. Wisla are already in a tremendous position no matter what. They're going to be feeling pretty good about this 8-round half, and, well, who knows, maybe even double digits still to come. But I think Wisla themselves will probably be expecting the change up here of potentially the double op setup again. So we'll see exactly what they go for. I don't think they're going to actually bother with the 2 ops. Unless there's one on the ground. No, it's just an M4 for Kreese that he went ahead and picked up. And it's actually glass cannon for an Arcas. Not ideal, but
I'm
at least they
worried.
got it.
I really am worried, man. I think how much will we be bigging up the double AWP setup for Finest? How well it works out towards A? Oh, okay. I mean, that was a bit of an interesting move from Goofy there. I think they're going to move away. Maybe looking towards the A site, maybe. But as you mentioned, a single AWP glass cannon on an Arcas. Don't get me wrong. I think this very much works out for an Arcas. You know, his AWP has been tremendous for this side. You know, since the dawn days of Finest, this new 5-man roster back in September. However, my main focus is on Wisla and how well they've manipulated the utility here for the CT side, right? Where you've got, what, 2 smokes, a couple of flashbangs, 2 nades to hold on with here for the remaining minute of the round. In the meantime, Wisla, I mean, they're not looking too pretty either. Both sides doing quite well to wear down on that utility, but it's a question of where do they pull the pin? I mean, PHR getting very aggressive out towards A. In the meantime, the mid-pressure might just mean an A split. This donut control means everything.
Robin is the one watching it, but as we said, this time not working with the secondary op. The rifle not going as well in the initial moments there, as he does get spammed down pretty heavily, and well, now is in a very awkward position, to be honest, with PHR coming out along with 2 players already on the bomb site. It's going to be hard for him to get a lot done from this position, and he can't even get the one. They had zoned in on him, tapped the bomb to fake it out a little bit, and just hunted him down. Mar wasn't able to work in towards the bomb site to actually help him out at all either. He'd been locked back into spawn by the players who pushed out from Donut, so that was just a fantastic A bomb site take right there from Wisla. But I think a little bit slow maybe on those rotations in general from Team Finest, not getting over there as quickly as they could have, and instead now being just forced to save for this final round. It's going to be 9 already for Wisla. Even if they get themselves the 6th now, they're going to be in a pretty difficult position going into the second half, especially if the pistol doesn't go their way. Then I could definitely see it just spiraling out of control.
Oh, man. It's difficult, isn't it? It really is difficult when you're looking for an opportunity, and in this round where maybe there was such promise, such reliability on winning, that you lose 1 man and you have to save the remaining 4. That's when you know the opportunities may be starting to dwindle a little bit. And well, now we head into a bit of a pause. I can only assume that this one, I mean, if it's going to be, you know, non-technical, that Finest are going to be absolutely button mashing here to try and figure out what the problems are, take those breathers, what's going on, why are we losing, this is ancient, it shouldn't be 9-5 down, we should be, you know, 9-5 in front, and even then, that's a pretty poor half. Wisla's T side, on the other hand, man, Dean, they're looking promising, aren't they? For a team that I don't think we got to speculate much upon in the previous season, and I mean, similar sort of story for Finest, I think this side is looking very, very strong already.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for Wisla because, again, in this season, they're grouped in with AGO and Anonimo, who are another 2 of those Polish names that stand out. So they've got a lot to kind of prove. They want to be the Polish team to really do the best. So I guess that gives you a little bit of extra drive. But it's basically the Polish national champs here once again in Group A. So I'm excited for when we get those matchups. But this is such an important round. Team Finest need to get themselves at least the 6 to work with, and then the pistol round is going to be an absolute necessity as well. And you can see Edgar covered pretty good ground, once again getting up close on towards Sniper's Nest. They should be aware it's a possibility at least, but it's just a lot of early control for the T's to work with, and the time and the smoke being thrown out. Edgar knows he can pounce on the opportunity, catches the gun not in hand, and while Sparrow's actually got himself an entry over on, I believe that was B and Lamps as well. Shox is going to at least follow up and should have this trade on towards Marcos. Pretty much a sitter for him. But it's still the man advantage for now that Wisla have to work with. And they've, I was going to say, a decent amount of time as well to actually make a move. They don't have to rush into a bomb site, but they just go jumping into Donut like absolute madmen. And eventually, Anarchus puts a little bit of a stop to them. But you have the flanker of PHR who's going to go ahead and pretty much close out the round. It's all on Shox. There's no saving this time, so he will give it his best go. And he's got full health at least to work with. And there we go, first entry found. The second as PHR tries to swing in immediately for the trade. And the smoke down for the moment gives Shox a bit of room to work with. He's just going to go ahead and renew it. Will he look to stick? No, for now, just tapping it, hoping to try and pull out Sparrow. He at least confirms the position now. Baits out the nade as well, so in theory, he could go ahead and stick, and he has a nade of his own. If he was aware that Sparrow was 10 health, rather, he could have thrown it in, but he doesn't know, and the angle just about works out. It's going to be 10-5 at the half-time. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Finest now. They're going to need that pistol round. They're going to need a massive resurgence in form coming into that second half. But we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait to find out if it happens. Rather, we're sending it over to just a quick break, guys.
I'm just trying to learn from all the things that I've been told.
Yeah, think I might have found my 10. Oh, posted up in my 10. Watch your man go dumb, go stupid. If you're the best, improve it. Got no words, be quiet, stay moving. I got a bag, won't lose it. Watch your man go dumb, go stupid. If you're the best, improve it. Got no words, be quiet, stay moving. I got a bag, won't lose it.
I might be tired at the stones they throw. Picking up scars and I hold them close. They shot me down, but I got this fight. Shine a light on me when my heart goes dark. Yeah, 'cause I'll never lose faith now. I'm in the flames of an angel. Fire, fire, burn. Fire, fire. And even if I'm broken, I'm cold but my blood's not frozen. Fire, fire, burn. I'm dying to tell you I'm a I beat my fears, but I lost my dreams. Yeah, they say this fight isn't what it seems. Yeah, shoot 'em all down when my demons rise. Couldn't win, so I joined their side. Breathe it in till the day I die.
Welcome back, everyone. We said it would be a quick break. It wasn't a lie. We're just about to hop into that second pistol round, and well, honestly, I think Finest maybe would have liked a little bit longer to go ahead and try and get themselves prepared for what is going to be probably the most important round of this game, because if they don't get it, then they won't have really any opportunity at all to get a comeback going, Retro.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. This is difficult. It's a real difficult time, and you're 10-5 down, and now you're on to, you know, what's considered the much harder side of Ancient. I think this is where you've really got to sort of tie your laces, pull your socks up, go, do you know what? We need a monster half heading out of this one. You need to win 11 rounds out of 15 to get a victory here. And I don't think people understand just quite how hard that is. We head into the pistol though, and of course, to kick things off, a double util setup, quick smoke for Robin. Shocks as well has got the smoke flash combo. The molly being dropped forward for Goofy. He's looking for more with the pistols. Of course, he got an ace in the first half. However, it will be Jedka to go down early. Robin, he'll find the opener. It'll be a second kill. Robin traded out. Kriaz, he's made space towards the site. PHR, a Markos in a 2-on-4. And it just isn't going to happen. A good start and a very much needed start here for Finest as they take the pistol.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy. They kept it pretty simple there, to be honest. Just smoke over onto B, split in, get up close and personal, right in their faces with those Glocks, and win out those close range battles where those Glocks shine. So, strong round. We said we were a little bit worried about some of the individuals, so it was nice to see the likes of Robin and Arcus having a bit of a decent round there, because obviously we've seen what Shocks and Kreese were able to do in that previous half as well. So if we've got the four of those players stepping up, then I think that kind of somewhat, it gives them an opportunity to get going. You said they're going to need a monster T side, and I think if those four are going to be contributing frags, then it's certainly a possibility. We're seeing a little bit more of a focused round coming in from Team Finest here in the second. If I recall, Wisla kind of just split out on their default and punished the aggression across the map instead. It looks like we might be seeing an execute directly towards A here once that initial A main smoke actually fades away. Indeed, they were just waiting it out.
Flashbang is in, wondering if PHR is going to be checked. No, the decapitation of the Deagle, a follow-up frag, and he's looking for more, can't quite connect. But Wisla keeping things competitive here in a 3-on-3. Wondering maybe if Marcos' pressure is through, he's going to take a lot of damage, won't quite connect. The molly being dropped in behind on that smoke, Dean, but it got close. Mark continuing to take some damage. Jedka rattling off shots, though, looking for more with the Desert Eagle as he continues to fire through. Both players low HP. Marcos 1-on-2. He's got 3 points of health and he has to find 2 Deagle shots.
Oh, not actually landing that one. Thought that one was just about on the body. It's going to be ran straight over to B, but, well, realizing this, Marcos is already en route as well. He hasn't got the health or anything to work with, though, which is the issue. Will they be expecting him to be so quickly in towards the ramp, though? And, well, it doesn't look like it. He should have the drop here on the initial man. It really was just kind of given to him right there. That was the low health player in Mar as well, the one that he could have taken down with potentially the one body shot even. But he doesn't get it done, and at this stage, there's really no opportunity anymore, Retro. I'm a little bit surprised that he's sticking around. Could have been worth maybe just saving the Kevlar, but I think he's just happy enough if he could even get one more kill from this. Just cost him another life even. Tap that bomb, pulled him back into the open, and, well, it doesn't quite work out for him. But overall, it was a pretty effective round where they do take out 3 players. They keep it, they make it incredibly costly, rather, for Team Finest. They keep the economy quite modest as well, as there's going to be a lot of reinvestment coming in. But it is a little bit of a letdown after, obviously, you got a fantastic play here in the beginning from PHR once he was overlooked in the back corner.
Serious damage, but once again, Wisla basically set back to square one, where nothing really can be made of this. It's just a matter of timing, a matter of maybe, you know, just the round passing by, where you can really get your teeth sunk into yet another round. It's round 19 where that reinvestment can be made, and, well, Mac 10 trying to pepper down some of these opponents towards ramp, and, well, the Deagle of Goofy is going to trump that of the SMG, and Arca's taking the longer distance engagements, and unfortunately not quite working out for them. The grenades forcing Robin forward. Marcos, no way do you get away with the Zeus in Premiere. That should not be allowed. And now he's going to drop the smoke, and that's an AK forfeit into the CT hand as well. Goofy going to get gunned down. Jedka looking for a trade here with a Deagle, but the overextension and a missed shot forces him to retreat, but still a 4-on-3.
Oh, Shocks is in a bit of a troublesome position. He actually gets dinked down to 13. It does still eventually force Sparrow back out of his position as he looks to try and keep the advantage in favor of Wisla. And, well, we're seeing the health being chipped away at on both sides as the Deagles manage to reign supreme. It's Kree's left all alone to save the day. And, well, he's struggling to actually get the hunt here. Eventually catches Yedker, who shows himself a little bit too soon, as his teammate was on the flank. Instead, now PHR is just going to try and hunker down, I believe. He does now spot the bomb. Mustn't have seen it before. He's going to start moving forward, hoping to catch Kree's off guard by playing proactively. And he does indeed. The Mach 10 headshot comes in, an upgrade to the AK and a round for Wisla that they had absolutely no right winning. They win that one out, obviously, and it made the previous one incredibly difficult as well. It does just show Finest they're struggling a bit here on Ancient.
Wow. See how they fare in this one here, Dean. I think their biggest challenge yet, their biggest task yet, is going to be, of course, Wisla Krakow's chance at strumming up a bit of confidence. An opportunity most definitely presenting itself in round 19. Shocks getting burnt down to that utility early doors. The molly, oh, and another nade takes him down to just 4 points of health. He's got to be careful for that one. In the meantime, Marcos, his AWP to find the mark. Robin to pick up the AK, now taking the elevated peak. The double swing comes in, really intuitive for Finest. Problem is, of course, they don't read into the second factor. Top middle is Jedka, and he lines up 2.
Oh, good damage on the Mar. Nade over, not quite getting the finish. He just about backs away. Even 1 or 2 kills here, I think, would be a big ask, rather, for Team Finest. There's just not a lot to find. They're going to be left on an eco then as well. Things are just getting incredibly difficult. I do again expect him to have a much better time on Inferno, but I don't expect Wisla to really slow down either, which is really the big issue for them. And there we go, overkill from Marcos. That wasn't necessary. There was already low health on Martin, but on Mar rather, but he just makes sure to go ahead and get it finished with the up. And Shox is really just hoping for a mistake to be made. It's the only way they'll get anything out of this. We're going to have a bit of a chill moment, I suppose, unless he decides to eventually work forward. And, well, he does. Right into the crosshair of Shox. Clean round, no damage even taken for Wisla. So that force buy really doesn't give anything to Team Finest. At the very least, they wanted 2 to 3 kills. Ideally, though, they were aiming for a round win because it would have been the only way to get themselves back on track for a comeback, really. Instead, now an eco at 13th round, they'll go towards Wisla. You'll have one more gun round then for Team Finest. And if that doesn't work out, it's Wisla likely going towards map point.
So here we are. Finest, the pressure in, and well, they are able to find PHR. Looking at the HP bars of Finest, though, you're not going to be looking too good, are you? Definitely not fruitful enough to maybe convert around. Of course, and Arquez, the highest HP of the lot, taking the AK, but my worry, in my honest opinion, comes from the fact that, as you mentioned, they're on such fine ice that losing maybe the next buy round, that's it, the map's gone. And you're on your map pick of Inferno, which, don't get me wrong, you have a real chance of winning, but my statement, my remark is that Wisla are looking very strong heading in Ancient.
Marcos is just going to back off into the temple as it seems like Finest will get moving pretty soon. But yeah, you don't want to be up too close and personal with that op. They've really just decided to calm the whole round down after taking that initial nade damage and taking the spray from PHR. Hoping now that Anarquez will get them a magnificent entry on the AK. It's really the only hope that they have. Everyone else down on those Glocks, of course, and it's going to have to be a straight-up headshot with it being Marcos on the up. The jump through from Robin, hoping to bait it out, but Marcos just is not missing. Maybe he is now. I jinxed this slightly, I won't lie. Apologies, bro. Now it's Anarquez who's got himself only the 1 kill so far. He's going to need, 2 kills so far anyway. But one of them, of course, was a little bit earlier on. Only 1 on the entry, and he's not able to get anything else done as the entire team had already rotated in. It goes about as expected, though, considering it was a full eco.
If I'm honest with you, Marcos doing unbelievably well with the AWP to hold up this control. And, of course, now up to 13, Wisla stand strong. Got to be careful. Got to be real careful in future. For basically lose this round, you're out of the game. The utility game not being played perfectly here. Finest make it past a lot of the utility in middle, but having said that, Sparrow, his AWP to find the mark on Robin. The overextension towards the A halls, and that gives them a 5-on-4. The must need as well has gone out of this round, and a follow-up for the AK of Goofy, who retaliates even more so with the Deagle. Kriaz caught in the corner. The Deagle continues to spam on through. The nade will finish the job. Jedka will pick up his first in the round, and the damage, I mean, it comes in for Finest, but it's way too late from Shox.
Yeah, this is just absolute destruction. That shot was nasty from Goofy, the second with the Deagle. I thought he was a sitting duck because he was just kind of crouched in the open, spraying with the AK for a moment. I thought those tracers would give Mard a chance to shoot back pretty easily. But now he swings wide, sees him, takes out the Deagle, and just shoots him in the face. A little bit slow on Mars' reactions, I've got to say, though. But yeah, Shox is in a bit of a troublesome position here. I think he'd like to save the AK, but there's players already pretty much encircling him. Although they have decided to drop one of them back from that boost, being a little bit more cautious just in case Shox is actually going to move in for this. They don't want to give him any opportunity to get back into the round with still about 40 seconds remaining. So they might move in eventually. Although with not a fantastic economy on a couple of the players themselves, I don't know if they'll really be too bothered. They might say, do you know what? Keep the AK. It's not working out for you anyway.
So they are going to be giving it a good stab here. Shox, I mean, any damage here will be good, but the problem is you're being heavily outweighed by the rifles of Wisla. Up close is Goofy. Doesn't expect the bait and switch. Very nicely done. 14-7, Wisla. 2 rounds away from success. 2 rounds away from victory in map 1. Of course, their own pick. However, momentum, we always like to say it plays a massive part here, Dean, and that it shall continue. Double AWP setup for the CT side. For Finest, down to simply the pistols.
Yeah, There's a bit of Kevlar behind it at least, a few flashes and smokes and such, but we'll see what can be done as well. There's a very aggressive op in Lamps. That's a little bit dangerous when you've got those Tech 9s in play. Thankfully able to drop the molly in time to keep them at bay, dropping the smoke then as well. And has actually called in for a little bit of assistance from Goofy, so they've got a decent setup in general over on B right now. They've done some very good damage actually off the back of the nades early on as well. And that's just something in general Finest have been struggling with. They've been getting chipped away at early on in all these rounds. Even when they don't lose a player, there tends to be one or two that either get naded down or get spammed up through smokes. It just makes things more difficult than it needs to be. Partly though it is, of course, Wisla just being very proactive. Well, looks like they want to move in towards mid now. Maybe towards an A split, as they do also have shocks outside of A main currently. But really, there's a lot of options still at this point with around the minute remaining.
So, as you mentioned, a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances. No questions asked about that one, but my sort of hunch is at this point in time that it's way too far gone. Okay. Not terrible. Not terrible at all to see that happen. Having said that, of course, grenades coming in. They're still continuing to try and uphold. Sparrow, he'll find one. Another maybe. No. Ducks under the shot of Kriaz. 4 on 3. Bomb ticking away. Marcos with one. And well, PHR with another. 3 on 2. Turn back on its head. And Arquez, he's able to respond. But they've got to be careful in dire straits to 2 on 2. To keep them afloat here, Finest, they need this round.
Yeah, desperately, and well, Anarchez actually stays on the wide angle, somewhat surprisingly. Kreese, though, of course, tucked in the corner, was looking to play off at a bay, but he's got the full health Yedgar to deal with, and he decides to take the peek out himself, and Yedgar just posted up, crouched in position, waiting for him to eventually show, and the patience did pay off. Plenty of time, of course, for that defuse to come in. It's a 15th round for Wisla. They've just walked through the CT side so far since managing to get themselves going. Really, it's been pretty much unstoppable. It's the same as what we seen on that T side initially after not after the initial gun round, but after they got going once again, after we had seen the few rounds for Finest. Once they got back onto the guns, once they stabilized, they just weren't, they were like a brick wall that Finest were repeatedly running into, and it's the exact same here now with them on the CT side, as they're continuing to be incredibly aggressive.
Oh no,
that was a little bit of an issue, unfortunately.
Well, I can only guess one thing happened, and that is Wisla won that round. We do love the old end the game early. Nonetheless, I think we can simply assume that it has happened. Wisla, one map up to none.
Yeah, that's going to be tough now. Obviously, Inferno up next. I mean, I do expect a better challenge from Finest at least, but I don't know if they can get themselves back into the series now, guys. But we're going to have to wait a little while to find out, because we are going to send it over to a break. When we come back, as I mentioned, we'll have Inferno.